What's up, everyone? We've got an awesome episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show here today. And look, what we're going to be doing, because it's a little bit of a special day, is we're going to have a bit of a debate. We're going to have some debates, maybe one, maybe two, maybe three. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I've got some good topics. So how are we feeling about this so far, guys? I think it's going to be a fun night for us.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited. We've not really done something like this before on the pod, and I feel like it's an area we've really missed. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna quickly lay down the first topic for our debate. So the first one is going to be one card combos are ruining Yu-Gi-Oh! And our case study for this is Mathmech Circular. So that's like our poster child for a one card combo. But yeah. So what do we think, guys? Let's drop the opinions. What do we think?
Jacob, why don't you tee this one off? For those who don't know, Jacob has a channel called Grandma Aguagio where he summons some of the strangest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Off of usually one or two cards. So I feel like this is really an area that you'd be able to talk to us about.
well, I would say to that those combos are very much an artistic thing and not a competitive thing, and I'd hope to think that my combos aren't ruining Yu-Gi-Oh! But other people may disagree with that. Maybe I'm the problem after all, right? But I think within the context of the game in the more competitive way, I actually quite struggle to come down on this. I understand some of the logic that gets bandied around by people like Joshua Smith, but I just feel like that people end up caring too much about these kind of things. But if you are going to ask me to come down on the position, I don't think that they're ruining Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think that they're like taking over the game to a point where you can't do anything else. You have formats where they're like the dominant decks, like Kashtira does a lot off a unicorn. Obviously, Super Heavy Samurai does a lot off 4 different one-card starters and a decent amount off Soul Piercer as well. No, not Soul Piercer. The backpack one. But
Wagon. I'm pretty sure you mean Wagon,
Soul
right?
Peacemaker.
Oh, Soul Peacemaker. Okay.
But take Tier. Tier wasn't a one-card combo format. Like you could make a kit with it, but like kit wasn't full combo.
Yeah.
Take even purely now is not a one-card combo. Like you'll get somewhere with it, but you won't do everything. You want multiple spells in hand to really make the most out of a purely deck, and it comes in and it comes out, and that's my thoughts.
I think like one of the most prevalent one-card combo decks you could say really at the moment right now is Kashtira, right? Like opening Unicorn gets you to, well, as of the current list, it kind of gets you to that line where you can set up either just an Arise Heart or like a Shangri-La and a couple of bodies. Obviously, that's backed up by whatever else you have in hand because you're going to have 4 of the cards in your hand anyway. Again, I'm kind of in the same position as Jacob because I don't think it's necessarily that they're ruining Yu-Gi-Oh, but I also think it depends on how powerful the one-card combo in question is. Do you know what I mean? So, like, take, for example, a card like Mathmech Circular, like you said. Anyone who told me they'd read a Mathmech card before Circular came out is a liar. I'm just going to say it.
100% a liar.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean...
Except for Alan Bershin.
Oh, yeah, true.
How can we forget Alan Bershin? But... yeah, like Circular, like put that deck in particular on the map. I think competitively at least, and it just really showcased like how powerful the cards actually were. They were almost like sort of like a bubbling pot, and then you drop the final ingredient, and then you get fire or whatever. This is a weird metaphor, but again, you also have decks that are out the bat. This is the archetype. Here's a one-card combo. This deck is insane. Do you get what I mean? So I don't think it's necessarily... I think that one-card combos are ruining Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's more how they're kind of pushed out and what they do, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, we all played during the format where Armageddon Knight was like a U-Link. That wasn't fun. We've all played formats where, Engage has been at 3. That's not fun.
Oh, dear.
So...
Cool Bite 3 as well.
Cool Bite 3 was big, yeah. Maybe not a one-card combo, but still a very, very good card.
Still.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Nathan, why don't you drop your thoughts on this?
So my thoughts are pretty much in agreement with both of yours in the sense that one card combos are not broken per se, but it just depends on sort of the aspect in which you're pushing them. I think giving sort of decks that have had older support ways of playing around interruptions and being able to do their combo whilst still being able to be interrupted in certain places is really nice. Like as Dan said before, Circular, I don't think anyone had ever really decided to pick up Mathmech to the extent of which it is now, where it is sort of that strong rogue contender, and it's able to sort of clash heads with some of the bigger decks in the format, such as Kashtira and Sprite in previously before Syac. Again, it's just in the aspect of where they're presented, because Kashtira can literally again do their full combo from special unicorn effect, grab Theosis, blah 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 blah. Whilst previously in I guess in the more recent years, such as like 2020 and 2021, we've had decks that would rely on 2-card combos that if you didn't see those specific 2 cards, or a way of having a specific card meld in with the deck, then the combos would literally just fall apart and you wouldn't be able to pay your turn.
2021 I agree with. 2020 I'd say I disagree with you there, just because we had Jet Synchron, Nadir's Servant.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
But
yeah, this was like when Hulk was in the
format. Yeah. Maybe they were the only 2, to be fair.
And I think that format was very in like later 2020 when we finally had like Hulk and all the busted like Link 2s come out from what was it? Was it
Dual Overload?
Yeah.
There we go. Like,
just as COVID hit and rocked the world.
Pretty much. And Adamantiphea became the first deck to never topple YCS. Well, the best deck to never topple YCS.
Yeah, I was like...
As Hazy Flame winning up top. Chemocritter.
Sorry. Oh, God. Getting hard. But you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the case of going back to the case in point. In the more recent years, we've seen a lot more 1-card combos come out, which is nice to see for some of the decks. But again, some have been more busted than others, and I think it's all in perspective.
So, I would actually say I do think they are. And I think where I would lean into, and I'd say so, for those of you who aren't familiar, I'm a pretty avid Mathmech player, and Cybers player in general. I like Cybers decks. And I look at a deck like Mathmech, and my problem with the 1-card combo decks, I think, is that... So, let's take Circular, for example, and I think looking at Mathmech before Circular and after Circular, to me, shows everything that's wrong with it. Before Circular, Mathmech was a good deck, but almost not functional. And it suffered from this problem where it was like, to make any sort of relevant play, you needed to commit like every card from your hand to the board, because you need to summon a level 4. Then you need to summon another. So you need to open firstly, like addition, subtraction. Diabolic came up the set before Circular, so I'm not really counting that. But yeah, you need to open like addition and subtraction, and then you also need to open a reborn or something. So you need to open really well. And then after you've committed these cards to the board, they don't do anything. Now, this is very clear that it's like, this is a deck that doesn't work in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Then Circular got released, and suddenly it was like, it became almost irrelevant to play any other Mathmech card other than Circular. If you looked at lists pre-Circular, people would play 2 or 3 addition, people would play 2 or 3 subtraction, sometimes people would even play division, because you needed to play those cards. And then you'd also see things like people were doing Link Disciple, like Mathmech could do combos before Circular, so you would see the Link Devotee Disciple combos and such. But when Circular got released, I don't think I've seen one Mathmech player play Division, for example. I don't think I've seen many Mathmech players do a build that isn't some sort of Circular Link spam. And the reason because of that is because Circular is so good. It takes all of the variation away from the deck. And the reason why that's also really bad, and the reason why I don't like it and why I think it ends up ruining Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because it homogenizes decks. And now this kind of goes into the generic boss monsters thing as well. But I would still say, when decks have this really card combo, when it all becomes which one card is the best, it simply turns into which one card combo is the strongest. I'll just play that deck. So I was just telling these guys before the show, like I recently said I'm going to play Super Heavy Samurai instead of Mathmech, because fundamentally speaking, Mathmech, Circular, and Super Heavy Samurai Back are the same card. They're doing the same thing. The only difference is there's no restrictions that are tacked onto any of the cards in Super Heavy Samurai Back, other than the spells and traps thing. But that restriction is less than Cyber Lock. And so it just ends up being better. Because at the end of the day, it's one card, spits a bunch of advantage onto the board, and then I get to play. And
there's 12 of them, right?
And there's 12 of them, yeah. And it's even worse. What makes it even worse as well is that it also limits future deck building. Every single time Konami releases new support for Cyberse now, they have to be scared. Because any Cyberse deck can just splash in this package that just does more than every other Cyberse deck. Every time now even now we've even seen it now with Super Heavy Samurai, where it's like every deck can just put in this package of bike and some Wakaushis and stuff, and they get a bunch of free cards off it. And this largely comes from these really generic, but usually one card combos as well, because the reason why it's not just generic is because the package usually needs to be compact enough to fit in another deck. And that's why, for example, we're not seeing people play, I don't know, like Despia packages in a deck. You can't, it doesn't work. Despia is a whole thing by itself. And so that's my big problem, essentially. It makes deck building very, very, very kind of just generic. And it also kind of ends up it becomes, for combo decks, what's the most efficient and most effective combo deck? Play that one. If the one card combo is more of a control deck, it's a similar thing where it's like, what's the most efficient one card normal summon control deck? Just play that one. And that's my big problem with one card combo decks. The other thing as well is I'd say that as a person playing that deck, it's just not that fun. When every card in my deck is bad apart from Circular, I'm just upset when I don't see Circular when it gets stopped, because it's like I don't want to draw addition or subtraction. I was playing today genuine Mathmech. I didn't want to see any card in my hand that wasn't Circular. Genuinely, I don't want to see any of them. All the Mathmech cards are bad apart from Circular, and so it's that as well. It's actually not fun to play as well. So that's kind of why I actually do think they're ruining Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think it's more, as much as I dislike Tier Elements, I think Tier Elements, I say all the time, in terms of power level, was stupidly bad. But in terms of design, I think it was very, very well done. For the most part, Kit Kalos was a bit unfair. But for the most part, Tier Elements wasn't a real one-card combo deck, and I think that was fair. Like, I think, for example, if they just lost Kit Kalos, there'll probably be and they didn't have the fairy nonsense Grave Millers. Yeah, there's that as well. Yeah,
the issues with cards.
Yeah, how Tier Elements is right now, it's a relatively fun and balanced deck, and I think it's, again, because it's not a one-card combo deck, it's the deck kind of synergizing with each other. Yeah, and I think the one-card combos, again, just to kind of round off, leads into loads of other problems as well, but one-card combos is a big problem. So yeah, I do think they actually are ruining the game.
So I'll jump in on that point you made about the fun of it, because that is something that I to a point would agree with. I guess my question is maybe the definition of the word ruining, but I certainly think of experiences playing combo decks, and particularly these combo mirrors, where when you're tunneling into a single line of play, and then the rest of the deck's hand traps, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's back and forth the same thing, and that gameplay, I think, is probably. I've never played a stun mirror, but that's what they're like.
Genuinely, you will be stuck there for 5 years just wondering who can flip like skill drain or floodgates the most.
That may not be as bad, to be fair, but like these kind of things where it's literally just like, oh, you have a hand trap, you win.
Yeah.
You don't have a hand trap, I win. Is like, it's the thing that sort of makes the game almost like, well, what's the point of playing it?
Exactly.
My reservation with going as far as to say that it's ruining the game just goes back to the point I made originally, that it comes in like, not every format is it. So, like, I don't think, but we are going more in that direction, sure. But at the same time, because it's not every format, it's not every deck, I don't feel like I can say that yet. But I do agree that the gameplay is very unsatisfying.
So let me come to this point with a different angle, because it's not a point that I necessarily disagree with, but it's not a point that I necessarily agree with either. So decks that have a one-card combo, you want to see it. Fair enough. Usually, you've got, let's say, 6 to 9 ways of seeing this one card combo.
Yeah.
You want to play a deck. You want to play it optimally. Like, say you you may not have the time to learn, a lot of different 2.5, 1.5 card combos, or you don't want to get fatigued over the course of a long event, which is something that does happen. I think it's infinitely harder taking a very non-linear deck like Shizu Tears to an event and doing well, which is why I do genuinely think it is one of the most skillful Tier 0 decks of all time.
Yes.
But at the same time, I do think that there is an element of skill in a one-card combo deck. Maybe not as much skill. In fact, I'd probably say definitely not as much skill. But let's say, for example, you have your one-card combo. Let's say, for example, it's Circular. They Circular, you get to the Allen version, they stop it. And you're like, okay, how do I play through this? And I think that's where it really shines in the player's ability as opposed to the deck carrying the player, if you get what I mean. So
No,
I
totally agree with
Go
you.
on, Nathan.
Like, I totally agree with you there, and I think that's what defines people for when they pick up a deck. Like, for example, a lot of people who have played Mathmech may have also played similar Cyberse decks in the past, which means that they are well equipped with the fact of, if this one card combo gets stopped, where do I go from here? And I think this is very... It's very... I'm trying to think of the correct words to say here, but that differentiates between players, and the best players will know where to go if their one card combo gets stopped, and where to essentially go from there.
So I don't agree. I don't agree. I'll let you finish.
Sorry. Yeah. Just a caveat: certain decks with one card combo, it's going to be easier to play through than others because they'll have other cards in their deck that are inherently broken. But you may just have a hand of pure garbage, and you may have to just kind of turn that into gold if your one card combo gets stopped. So it does kind of depend on the deck, really, for what I was saying there.
Yeah.
But sorry, I was going.
I was just going to say on the skill issue, the reason why I don't think skill is as relevant in it, or at least I don't think it's a case of kind of like, for example, if you're a really good player, you're not to pay for it. Well, also, not that that's not true, but I think that applies in almost every situation. I also think that, in fact, so the effective expression of skill can be defined in one way as being able to being able to make the best decision out of a multitude of choices. And Tier is the best example of that. You're given so many choices because your deck has so much gas, and being able to pick the correct choice in that huge selection is a good way of expressing skill. However, I don't agree that that's the only way to express skill. And I'm coming back to your point, Nathan, by the way. It seems like I'm going on a tangent, but there's a reason why I'm going this way.
Understand.
Yeah. I also think another really effective expression of skill is having a lot of choices that aren't immediately available to you, but being able to account for potential choices. And the example I always give is Sky Striker, Old Sky Striker, Old Salad. Old Salad is actually a better example. Old Salad, they used to play the Fusion Monster because they couldn't kill you. They literally would struggle to OTK you. But part of the skill of playing Salad was, I can't kill you. I do have a million summons, but it doesn't matter because they're not going to kill you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to conserve my resources. I'm going to make smart decisions now, conservative decisions now. And as a result of these smart decisions I'm making now, in 2 or 3 turns, I've accrued so much advantage that I eventually win. Going back to that one card combo issue, this is my problem. It's like, a lot of the times it's like, oh, this card is really OP, but it's like, it's showing skill expression because there's so many choices and it's nice to see the pro player make the decision. That is true in a mirror matchup at the highest level of play sometimes. But it's also just as true in the high level of play when you see the guy play Sky Striker, when you see Pascal Kim play Demise Sky Striker and win, because it's like, it's such a weird tech. Everyone thought Sky Striker was bad, but it's like, he made so many effective decisions in deck building. I mean, admittedly, top decking engage after engage after engage, I mean, that's a madness.
Oh, God.
But also, it's like making so many smart decisions in deck building and then kind of executing the deck well as well. That was skill as well. And my point is just that there's different ways to execute skill, and I don't think we need to have a really unfair card that gives a plethora of decisions to be the only way and the most... I still don't even agree that that's the most effective way to define skill. I think that's just one way. Yeah. So that's kind of my reason why I don't agree that it's kind of a... Again, it is nice, and usually the better player will do it, but that's true for a multitude of things. And so kind of going back into that, this is why I think it ruins Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it creates it creates a game where combo is the best. Basically, that's kind of the when we distill all of it down, it just creates an issue where the best deck is the deck that has the most options available to it. The decks that have the most options available, usually combo decks, because they can actually access most of the cards in the deck and most of the cards in the extra deck. And so, I just don't find it that fun to watch.
I think also, like, we're forgetting another card as well that is literally, in the best cases, a one-card starter, and that is Brand Fusion. Like,
I'll let you finish.
yeah, so Brand Fusion in the older builds, I think can get you into a lot more value, bearing in mind if you open... Because you're playing a lot more of the cards, like, you were playing... I think you were playing a lot more copies of Tragedy.
Let's take it back to when Brand Fusion initially released, and Brand Fusion was the one-card combo for, like, the Chimera Pop and the Mirror Jade and all that shit, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what it was like. It was... Brand Fusion was your way of getting to your... essentially to your end board, because if you opened without opening, Branded Fusion can get you to your Aluba, can get you into your Branded in Red, can set up your target, and then be able to set up a sort of semi-interactive board with Chimera follow-up.
Just like a good mid-range board, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when now Branded Fusion can pretty much get you into
anything, bro.
A multitude of different,
every card. But the interesting thing is, I actually think Branded Fusion is an example of like really good card design that went wrong at a critical stage, where it's like Branded Fusion. One of the things I love so much about it, I think it's okay to have like myopic kind of one card combos in the game. That's okay. That's fine. Like, because you do need. Sometimes it just needs to be I flip up skill drain and I win. That's fine. And I see Branded Fusion as a similar kind of thing. I think the way they dealt with Branded Fusion was so intelligent in that you're locked into fusions. You're only doing fusions. Like the format when Brandon and Sword Soul were OP, I thought that was actually a really good format, because even though it's frustrating that Brandon and Sword Soul were doing a lot, and even though D-Barrier was annoying, I like the fact that there was a card that just shuts it down. So it's like you're actually making a decision. Where I think they went wrong in Branded Fusion though is Konami doesn't do a good enough job of vetting cards in the extra deck, vetting old cards, do you get it? And so you have issues of I'm sending Ido the Supreme Magical Force, I'm sending Gimmick Puppet, do you get it? That's where the mistake, and it's like I don't know. Oh, sorry, you go down. But it's like I don't know how they could have balanced it. But yeah,
just on the coattails of that, I think there's the two biggest issues in Branded Fusion are Albion and Lubellion.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, bro. If those two cards
do you mean
printed,
the extra deck one's not the main deck?
Yeah. So if those two cards hadn't been printed, different story.
Because they create a lot. They're the midpoint that creates the problem as well. Yeah, 100% agree.
It's the fact that Lubellion can shuffle back in. Well, the new combo basically allows you to go into Albion and then into Lubellion to shuffle back your resources.
It's that, and then also generic materials. Just the fact that it's any light monster or any. So basically now. And then it's
what do you mean to me? And there's never been any broken dark monsters in the game.
And it's funny. I'm going a lot off topic a tiny bit, but it just always makes you laugh. It's
They're
like
not even dark.
Did they forget about Shadow Fusion, or like did they like? It's like you've done this before. You know this is a bit. I'm like, what happened?
No,
like
we literally came out of like. Well. Yeah, we literally came out of Invoke Shadow Dogmatic.
We did, didn't we?
You know what? We need to make this better.
Yeah, you guys aren't playing Shadow Fusion in your deck enough. You know what? Turn 1 Shadow Fusion's good now too. Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah, but let's bring it back to the original topic of one card combos ruining Yu-Gi-Oh. Jacob, I'm interested to hear what your perspective is on it again, and I'd say adding the context of when we bring skill into it as well, how you think it pertains to skill specifically.
That's a very interesting question. I would say that, as was said before, it does partly depend on the deck, because there are some decks for whom the combo is the only thing. There are some decks for whom the combo is just the strongest play they have available, and for those decks which are like, I think about Sun Avalon pre Rika. And I know that Simeon's going to tell me that the deck isn't good now, but it was worse before.
I agree. It was worse before.
When you play three C, 3 unexpected die, 3 painful decision, 3 lone fire, 1 for 1, right, as your starters, and that gets stopped. You can't do anything like you can't do a thing. There's no extenders. There's no unless you happen to open the one-off shrine, and I can't remember. There's an activation condition that stops that from always being live as well.
Yeah.
There's other things like Math Mech where like I could theoretically, like if Circular gets stopped, like normal summon addition, special subtraction, and do something. And the difference is in the decks fundamentally. I think. But where was I going with all this? The editor needs to insert that a few moments later gif in at this point.
A few moments later.
But yeah, I do think that kind of like paint by numbers combo is something that requires less skill and doesn't really demonstrate skill expression in the same way. And I should know because I played it a lot and I gravitated towards it because it was more straightforward in that respect. The difficulty comes when you get into these reduced game states. Simplified game states, and where your deck isn't equipped because all your cards are the normal summon, and your normal summon's a normal monster.
Yeah. You guys may not realize, but Jacob saw me have this pain and frustration a lot last week, so he really understands. I don't like Rika, guys. Anyway, as a follow-up question to that, and I'll ask everyone this: do you like it? Like, do you enjoy, for example, playing those kind of like? And I'm saying combo decks because I can't think of many other relevant other archetypes of decks that are one card combos. But do you guys enjoy and feel like the mental challenge and stuff of playing these one card combo decks? Like, is this fun? Because I think it's a really important question to ask. Like, it's fun is different for everyone.
I'll leap in first with that, and I like theorizing them.
Yeah,
I'm convinced I like playing them.
Yeah,
and those are two very different parts of the game, and I think it's because the thing I resonate most with, in the game fundamentally is the interaction. And even though like I'm far from the best player in the world so far, but like it is the decision making and like the you've done this so I'll do this and the back and forth. And those kind of decks are not conducive to that style of gameplay.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons why, despite not being a highly competitive player, I loved the Tear Ishizu mirror because it gave that it gave that style of gameplay.
Yeah,
and so that's sort of my take on it, and I'll pass to other people.
I'll jump in.
No, go on.
I think it's quite nice at the start when you're picking up these type of decks because it's like, oh, this one card can get me into this full board. Let's go. It's you get really excited because you're able to do what Yu-Gi-Oh! I think does better than any other card game, and that is end on an insane board by not, holding itself back by like resources and so on. So you get to experience the full power of the game. However, when you get into these more competitive, matches and like tournaments and so on and so forth, it becomes very apparent that a much higher level of understanding is needed. And of course, it may be fun to do this incredible combo, this funny combo sometimes, because most of these decks can end on like go from one card to like an insane combo. But it just depends on your playing style.
Yeah.
And I know people who have ran with those kind of decks and stuck with them because they know exactly the ins and outs of how they work and such, and that's their playing style. For others, it just wears out very quickly because this deck has maybe become quite new and everyone is testing it out. That isn't their playing style, and they fall off to kind of more mid-range where it's 2 card combos or a little more slower pace because that's what they're more comfortable with. I have been both of those people in very different points of my sort of learning curve towards the game. and I guess it's really subjective. But I do think it is fun, like, and if you're not taking it into a competitive mindset, these decks are really fun to play. But from a competitive mindset, then it's just finding what works for you best.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? What do you think, bro?
So I am one of the people who likes playing one card combo decks. So I'm going to say that it's fun, but I'm gonna break it down in a little bit of a different way. Nathan has heard me talk about this to the end of the earth, and I'm going to talk about it again. I hate decision fatigue. If I can make as little choices in my day as possible, I can keep as much mental space that I need to make bigger decisions. So, for example, the biggest thing in my day, like long-time viewers of the TYS show may notice that I just wear this. I've got like 5 copies of the same fucking black t-shirt. But anyway, the only thing I'm doing in my day for a big Yu-Gi-Oh tournament is a big Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, right? Before this tournament started, I want to know what I've played, what I'm playing. I want to be able to know it inside out, and I want to be making as many comfortable decisions that I'm 100% in as possible. So that when it gets to a point where I have to deviate away from this, I can use 100% of my brain power. I'm going to use the YCS London as an example of this. I took Kashtira to YCS London. I played a Rise Pass. Incredibly simple. Once you know the ins and outs of Kashtira, making a Rise Heart, it's incredibly simple, and you can use a lot of it, your mental state, to rely on things like closing out the game and like using your non-engine effectively.
Taunting your opponent, these kind of things.
Yeah. When it came halfway through the day one, and I was EXO, and I started to experiment a little bit, started ending on a little bit different end boards. Like, they were still optimal, but just maybe different for more different scenarios. Maybe that wasn't a good idea because I ended up X3 at the end of day one. But I had a lot. I kept a lot of my mental state that I needed for that tournament. Nationals last year, before I played Despia, I didn't play the gas version. I played Branded Fusion and a fuck ton of hand traps. Yeah, like, I think it's fun because I see it as optimal. But this is my point of view. You may not resonate with what I have to say, and that's completely fine, innit? Like, I also do want to caveat that I love fucking playing combo decks in the comfort of my own home, because there is nothing more disheartening than spending 13 minutes on making a board and having a fucking sphere mode dropped on you.
I was going to say, the last combo deck you played was Animantipator, wasn't it?
In the public eye, yes.
Yes. Yeah. I also just want to jump in quite quickly, and I also want to say that that's another point that you brought up, Dan, was decision fatigue.
Yeah.
And when you're playing like these big, heavy combo decks, needing to know all the ins and outs of your deck almost, and being able to make them on the fly whilst you're playing. Most of these combo decks sometimes have quite a higher deck count as well. So knowing all these interactions into the different lines and such may fatigue you out by the time you get into like round 3, round 4 of like a really long event. So that could also,
but I do think as well, sorry to cut you off, I do think it is about knowing your limits as a player, because if you're someone who can comfortably pilot a combo deck, then more power to you, crack on.
100%.
And it's one of the things that I can't remember who said it. One pro player was saying that it's like, in general, better players will always play a combo deck, and it's always the best choice, because again, it's that you just have more options. Like, even though now we're seeing a bit of a difference of Labyrinth setting traps from the deck, I don't know what the heck that is, but it's like, in general, if you're playing a trap deck, or if you're playing a slower deck, a lot of times it's the 5 cards in your hand and maybe 1 or 2 other cards you have access to. Playing a combo deck, you've got so many other cards, and so you have to do a lot more.
My question here, though, is: are we conflating combo with one card combo?
Yeah, that's why I was like, the reason being is because, for example, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a non-one card combo deck that's not a combo deck. I don't know if that sentence made sense.
As in, like a combo deck that's not a one card combo deck.
Yeah, as in a one card combo that is not a combo deck. A one card combo that is not a combo deck. Like,
Dragon Link? Oh no.
okay, you know what?
Dragon Link is like
It's
Chaos Space and so
1.5,
on and so
but
forth.
yeah, it can be a 1. You know what?
This
I
is
will
gonna
give
be
you the
like-
Dragon one.
Yeah, this is going to be like a mega, like, not meta take, but Crystal Beast has a load of one-card combos. I wouldn't say that's a combo deck.
knew it.
It's true.
You know what? That's about the equivalent of saying, normal summon
You know-
Cyber Dragon Core is a 1-card card.
I walked
It
into
is
that,
the
so I
outlook
can't even
of
shut it
the
down. I
past.
walked into that by asking the question. So, okay, yes, I guess Crystal Beasts as well. Crystal Beasts and Dragon Link.
Bruh, have you not read Fire Fist?
Ghosty.
Have you not read?
Right?
Oh, is Ghosty one card combo?
There are some 1-card combos.
Yeah, and
Like Lifeless Leaf Fish, anything that is a 1-card Synchro 6.
okay, yes, I guess. But do you get, for the most part, there's not really relevant 1-card combos that I think like apply here that aren't combo decks. I think that's why we're sticking to combo
Trap
decks in this
Tricks, mate.
discussion.
Fire Fist Tenki.
Yeah, I guess trap. Okay, you know, so there are some,
Depends
but
which build.
my point being is like just in answer to kind of what you're saying, Jacob, is the reason why I don't think we're really conflating it just because for the most part, with a few exceptions, if it's a 1-card combo and it's relevant, like it's probably a combo deck. There's not really
No, I hear that. I think
Yeah.
my thing was more the conflation the other way of like talking about combo and generally when we're talking
I
about 1-card
see.
Yeah.
So people getting, like, combo and mid-range confused,
So,
maybe.
funnily enough, what I would say is combo itself. Most of the problems I have with combo don't apply to don't apply to a lot of combo decks. So for me, I would I would point back at a deck like TR. The way TR comboed wasn't really frustrating. Like, do you get it? What was frustrating was more that they have so many effects that I'm just going to lose. But like, it wasn't like they get this one card that is just doing everything. It's more like every card was just good, and then it's like that's overpowered, and that was frustrating. Or another good example I would look at, even though I don't know if you'd call this a combo deck, but no, you know what? It's not a combo deck, but I'm still going to look at it. But when I look at a deck like Plunder Patrol, for example, like it's not a combo deck, but it's like it's a deck that it's a lot of strong 1.5 or 2 card combos that are resolving in like a lot of interaction on your opponent's deck. Another good example I would say, though this has problems for other reasons, is Sprite. Ignoring Sprite Starter and ignoring Nimble Beaver and ignoring Silent Angler, because all 3 of those cards are absolutely stupid. But ignoring that, when Sprite normal summons and then special summons and then does a lot, it's not. I feel like, again, it's not as big a problem. Every Sprite card is good. So from the perspective of the person playing against Sprite, it's like, I know if I out your first monster, it's hard for you to play. As the Sprite player, I feel like I have a lot of opportunities to play because once I've put my 2 cards on the board, I can do a lot more. So, yeah. And a long-winded way of saying that, I would say, for me at least, the other combo decks don't have that issue. Yeah. Oh, and I would say as well, one of the biggest frustrating parts as well about combo decks, 1-card combo decks, is when Konami puts locks on them, but not in an intelligent way. So I would compare 2 kinds of combo combos, and I am going to go back to Sprite here, but it's for a good reason. I don't think Gigantic Sprite is done smartly. Do you get
No.
it? When a Sprite player in draw phase goes Sprite Starter, adds a thingy, and then in their main phase immediately special summons, gets a card, then goes into Gigantic Sprite, and now you can't interact, that is frustrating. That is really annoying. It feels like I couldn't draw you, I couldn't stop you, I asked your blue when you did summon it, but it doesn't matter anything because everything goes into it. Then now it goes into Gigantic, I can't interact, and you've just been able to do whatever the heck you want. All the hand traps that I've had to put in just to combat you don't even work. Again, it's like,
And they've locked you out of
and
Nibiru.
you've locked me to get
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like there's ways you can lock and gate, like gating Sprite into level 2s. If I only gated them, it would be a lot fairer. But when it gates us both, it's like,
Yeah.
so that's other things. Well, Konami needs to be smart about how they add these kind of restrictions onto these decks.
Like with Sprite, that like if you're a bad Sprite player like me, like you'll have loads of times when like you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go into Zeus, and then realize that you've used Starter.
Yeah.
And that's that's a sensible restrict. I completely agree with you because like it only affects.
It only affects you. But it's like,
Yeah,
now I can't
then-
gamma you, I can't nib you, I can't. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it makes a Sprite player, once you're in that lock, and you're trying to play into your opponent's board, it makes you, like, the Sprite player have to think a lot smarter.
Yeah.
Because they can't get into these big bodies that would often clear the board. For the opponent, it's just, what can you do? Almost
It's
like
just-
you just turned off
yeah.
around about 75% of my interactions on your turn.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like just hopefully you opened imperm. If you don't, oh wait, it doesn't matter. I drew carrot, so it's calm. Well, yeah, but
unfortunately.
well, I think we're going. Well, yeah, we're going around a bit. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a final thoughts from everyone on this topic. So what do you think? If anyone's opinion's been changed as well, lay it out. But yeah, let's final opinions. We'll start with Dan.
One card combos I think are okay. It's the cards surrounding it that make them the problem.
Lovely, Jacob.
One card combos can lead the game into something that is unfun, but they aren't at a point where they're the only thing that is possible to do in the game, even at a high competitive level.
Lovely, Nate. What about you?
One card combos are definitely fun in very specific decks. It just depends on the aspect and obviously the capability of them.
Lovely. And then I think I'll say as well, I'm still not a huge fan of them. I think there's room for them to be done well. I think probably Konami's R&D department sucks is my conclusion.
That's a tune we can all dance to.
They don't know what they're doing, and so maybe in a year or so they'll hire some more people that can actually get this going and make these one card combos a bit more fair and balanced. Yeah.
If anyone from Konami is listening and wants to jump on the pod, hit us up on Twitter at TYS Show Pod.
Yeah,
Anyone from Konami is
Yeah.
listening and wants to ban us, I've been Thestalos Yu-Gi-Oh!
right. So
Anyone wants to ban me, I'll work for MBT.
okay. Even though
I got the Twitter wrong. It's the YJo Show Pod.
I'm actually gonna for our close off, we are gonna do an Am I the Arsehole? Just because, yeah, I feel like we have to do one. You guys missed out because I had a very wild one last episode with and it was very wild. I'll show you guys after the show, but this one I don't think is as wild. I think it's interesting.
God.
Some of these ones, it's like I'm hesitant. Okay, I'll say the title now. Am I the arsehole for making my pregnant wife get up at 3 a.m.? Some of these ones, when I ask them, it's like, none of us have a pregnant wife, as far as I'm aware. I don't want to put anyone's business. So if you do, just pretend that you do, and I haven't said anything. But the point is,
Hard for me to get banned again.
it's like it's almost like I'm asking the question, and there's no one who this is relevant. But still, it's cool to see people's opinions. So, yeah, it goes. I, 33-year-old man, have a 6-month pregnant wife, 33-year-old female, and a kid. Oh, he put kid 1.5 m, and I was thinking, why are you telling us how tall your kid is? And why? Then I just realised he means,
1.5.
yeah,
It's so tall.
I think he means 1.5
You
months.
must be this tall to ride
Yeah.
the roller coaster.
So yeah, I work 5 days a week, and my wife works part time. 2 days with the kid, 3 days at work while the kid is in childcare. I put the kid to bed every night and put him back to sleep if he gets up in the middle of the night. We used to split the week on who would get up to settle him if he woke up during the night, as it used to be frequent. However, I've been sleep training him, and now his wake ups are quite rare. He usually goes straight back to sleep if he wakes up. My wife is pregnant in her 3rd trimester and super tired, so I've been getting up all the time to settle the baby if he can't get himself settled. This week I've been super busy at work prepping a conference which took place yesterday. This happens once a year where I'm involved. So the night before last, which was the day before the conference, I asked my wife to take him if he woke up in the night so I could be rested for the big day, and all was fine. Last night I came home around midnight after the all-day conference, having had a few drinks. I wasn't drunk, but very tipsy. Wife and I chatted about our days while I put my suit away and went to bed. Kid got up at 3 a.m. last night and wanted to settle himself. As I was tired from the all-day conference and still feeling the alcohol, I asked my wife to get him. Apparently he was up for an hour. In the morning, she called me an arsehole for not getting him in the night and making her get up instead. She said she was also tired from being pregnant and both dropping him off and picking him up from childcare this week. We usually split it, but I've been in the office early and late this last week. Am I the arsehole for making my wife get up instead of doing it myself? What do we think, guys? Yeah. So do I need to TLDR
That's quite
this?
an open one, to be honest.
Yeah. Do I need to
Right.
TLDR this, or are we all?
I think I pretty much know where I stand with it anyway, in terms of like
Yeah.
what the question is.
Yeah.
I think. You know what? You should have just farmed it and done it, bro. It would have just been a lot easier. Like, because what would you rather trade 5 minutes of sleep for a day of being called an arsehole? That's
Was
what I
he just
think.
called, what, was he just called an arsehole in the morning? Was it preferenced, or was it literally just all day?
Maybe we will never know. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily the arsehole here. But
No,
he,
no, no.
he just should have done it, innit? He should have just taken the L and moved on. Like, instead he's going to be taking an L for a lot longer. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's an asshole. No.
I don't think he's not.
Um,
I think I understand the wife's perspective. I think again, my wife's not pregnant or anything, but being around a lot of pregnant women recently, I'm learning a lot. And one of the things I'm realizing is just how tired a lot of them are. Like it's just like I didn't know it was a thing. Like just how super tired they are. Look, if anyone hates on me for knowing this, oh, okay, shut the f up. Like what the heck? I haven't been pregnant, so of course I didn't know. So I'm learning that. Yeah, it's hard. They're tired a lot, and so I get why she's frustrating. But if he was just chilling and with the boys and stuff, and but he was actually at work. He was doing a conference. This doesn't seem to be a common thing. I also really like that he's put the effort in to be doing the nights to help. And so it just seems like a bit of a miscommunication and an unfortunate situation. The unfortunate reality is that, yeah, sometimes the kid is going to wake up in a very inconvenient time, and it's like, yeah, he just had to push it on his wife. So I don't think he really did. I don't think he's an asshole. Yeah, I think he tried his best. Yeah. I also don't think she's an asshole for being annoyed. I don't think she's an asshole for being annoyed either. I just think it's a bad situation.
I can
No.
agree with that.
Go on. Go on.
So it just comes down to bad, like, miscommunication at a really bad time. Like, they're both putting in the effort to obviously work or wake up in a specific time. So, well, when the kid wake up let me get my words out properly. When the kid wakes up, they're splitting it equally so that they're sharing the responsibility. They have good communication. He's been obviously, he's had this conference planned, so on and so forth. He's putting an emphasis on that, but he's also making up the time by helping out as well. And I can understand why. I can understand why the wife is pissed off at him, because obviously, being pregnant and obviously having to deal with taking the kid to childcare, having to get up late, having to do late nights as well.
Also, being pregnant.
Yeah,
This is something that, like, someone who is biologically unable to give birth, they will never know, how hard that is. Do you know what I mean? So it's
exactly.
it's hard for them to kind of communicate. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I was never not implying.
I'm not
that,
saying you were in it. I'm just saying, like, that's something for listeners to bear in mind.
Yeah. Of course. Just in case if I wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely I agree with Dan. Should have just really just taken it on the chin and really gone up and even
Firms
though
it
they
in
might-
it and just moved on.
I think it would have been the lesser of evils. you would have gone up, done with it instead of having to conflict.
There is something to say for, sorry to jump in before you, Jacob, there is something to say as well for sometimes, taking the L because it just, for the sake of peace. Like, that's something that I feel like that a lot of people end up learning the hard way when they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
That sometimes you are right,
Not
but
just even in a relationship, just in life.
just
innit?
in life,
Yeah,
it's like, I
learning
will say, it's
how to
like, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy or something like that? It's the saying. It's like,
Oh god, yeah.
it's like, yeah.
You just have to learn how to take to apologize even though you're in the right, because at the end of the day, it's probably the most peaceful thing to do. And
Yeah.
would you rather solve the situation, or would you rather?
Dependent on the scenario, of course.
Oh, of course. But
But yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
In this-
I hear you.
Yeah, sorry, Jacob.
in this
I
scenario,
took
in
I
this
took I
scenario.
took your time
Alright.
from you.
I guess my question is to it, like, you're not going to find me really disagreeing from the things that you all have said. But like, how would they not like ended up? How would they ended up in a situation where like the time that he's being called an arsehole for this is after it's happened? Like they know that this is a year in advance. They know. No, sorry, not a year in advance. They know this is a once a year event. They know that this is coming. It's not like, oh, hi, I've suddenly had this conference to do. Like, how was he not raised this before to talk about it? And
could have just got a babysitter for the night, innit?
Yeah,
like,
and also
there's so many solutions. Yeah, like it's like there's no reason why he couldn't have like talked about it. It might be that like it could well be that like people have said like just do it anyway, mate. But like I feel like why hadn't he already been called an arsehole?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that. Actually, no. I was gonna say it's their. I was gonna say no. Yeah, it is. I'm guessing it's their first kid. They're really tired and they just weren't that organized.
Well, they've already got a kid.
Yeah, so that's my. As in,
sorry,
my
no,
point.
what am I talking about?
Yeah, that's my point. It's like that's my guess. That they just
yeah.
probably weren't that organized about it because it's their first kid, and they just didn't know.
From the inclination, it seems to be like their first child. So I can understand there not being enough preparation, but at the same time, from what he said, they know that this is happening, but a little clarification on the situation that was occurring, saying, "Hey, I've got this meeting coming up. Is it okay if you could look after the kid here? Because I'm probably going to have a few drinks if that's okay with you." Reaffirming that would have helped all of this, and I think that says a lot. Like, good communication between yourself and your partner, making sure you understand what exactly the situation is going on, even if you don't really sometimes want to talk. I think just having sort of like a check-in just to see how you guys are or what's going on, just to basically keep you both on solid ground and make sure that both okay.
You just reminded me of something actually that I did want to mention with that. It's like it's one thing like you're like working late. Of course that happens. That's life, right? But like it is more of a conscious choice to come in like tipsy in a moment like that, and you get more legs to stand on with something like that if you're not like taking the piss.
Do you know what I'd say with that?
The one thing,
you go first, then.
I've got a feeling we're going to say the same thing, but I'm going to say he's within his right to have a drink if he wants to, but he needs to know the consequences of it.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. I was like, childcare, I can't lie, that looks horrid. That looks so horrid. So you know what?
Yeah.
I couldn't even fault him for it's like one night. That's the only thing I didn't like is I came in a bit tipsy, not drunk. Then stop this nonsense. Look, you came in drunk, bro. It's okay. Yeah, you don't have to lie.
You know you came
we
in
know.
smashed.
Yeah, like, but it's also I understand. I would understand if you came in smashing. It's just like I just want one night. I'm tired of looking after waking up the baby. So it's like
Nothing wrong with that.
him. Yeah,
No.
you need to de-stress, man. That childcare thing's looking long. But yeah, no, I guess we all agree. Yeah, we're all fairly in agreement on this. Yeah, he's not a huge arsehole. Just better organization probably would have helped. But guys, thank you for watching. This has been the debate-isode. So I don't know, guys. We'll see what happens. Maybe this might be like a once or twice a month thing. Maybe it'll be its own segment. I don't know. But yeah, you guys got to stay tuned and make sure that you also like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit up Grand Mark's channel, hit up Sanctum Squad. Yeah, man.
Don't bother hitting up Sanctum Squad.
It's not really worth hitting up my channel either. I post one video a year.
Hit up the channel.
That's fine, guys. Subscribe to my channel, then make 2 more accounts to subscribe to me again. If they don't want it, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it all. Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah. Also, if you have any debate topics that you'd like to see us discuss, feel free to drop them in the comments or at us on Twitter at the YGO Show Pod.
Yes, please.
Don't
Yes,
visit us in person.
oh yeah, no.
Just say hi.
Don't, innit? Like,
That's not on.
All right, no worries, guys. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace.
Peace.